Hey, welcome everyone to Montclair Dems University. And today we have the organizers of the Sunday protests here in Montclair. And this is, to me, truly a remarkable case study of grassroots come together. Two folks wanted to find out how to make a difference, and they did it with just neighbor to neighbor with no resources. And now it's a major event here in our town. So. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Liz and Julie, who can introduce themselves and then take us through the presentation. Liz, Julie, it's all yours.
Hi there.
Go ahead, Julie.
Hi, it's really nice to meet you. I'm Julie. Liz is my next door neighbor. As she's gonna kick off the presentation and talk about how our neighbor relationship turned into a co-grassroots organizer situation.
All right, you want me to launch the presentation? There you go.
Sure. So I'm Liz, hi, and this is obviously a picture of Julie and I from the early days, how it started. So the two of us are next door neighbors, as Julie said, and we like to walk together. And before November, things were political for sure in our conversations, but after November, politics sort of took over all of our walking conversations. And then once January 21st arrived, we both were just overcome by the urge to do something. And as the days ticked by and we looked around and saw there were no protests, there seemed to be no collective action. Individually, we were calling our representatives and doing things that we could on our own, but we really wanted to gather with people. And specifically in our community, we know we live in an area where there are plenty of immigrants, plenty of trans people, plenty of people who were, on the beginning of his list of people to go after once he took office. And it just was so alarming to both of us that there was no visible representation of the community support for those people. So we decided that we wanted to start a protest, and the two of us committed to showing up every Sunday from 3 to 4 on the corner of Church Street and Bloomfield Avenue in Montclair. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We just thought that would be a good place, since there's traditionally been many different kinds of protests there. And we thought that the two of us could commit to being there 1 hour a week. And if people joined us, that would be fantastic. But if not, the two of us would show up every week and just let our community know that we care and that we were not comfortable staying silent as Trump was taking his executive orders to a place that was just insane. So in February, we launched Montclair Sundays. And so that's how it started. And then if you want to go to the next slide, Carrie, and this is how it's going. We have grown over that time. You could see the sign in the previous slide where we displayed that we would be there. Reached out to some friends and also posted a little bit online, and it really has organically grown. Now we regularly have 100 plus people, and we have an email list of 200 and almost 50, and it has become a bit of a staple in the community. And we can consistently hear from those who attend how grateful they are to have a place to go regularly to express their discontent with the current administration. And this beautiful community of us Sunday protesters has formed, and it's been such a wonderful thing for so many of us. And the first time we went out there, just as Julie and I had feared that people were feeling quite alone, there was a woman from Ukraine who came up to us and said, "Thank you so much for being here." And someone drove by in their car and was visibly sobbing at the sight of us. So I think there was a real need in the community for our voices to be amplified, and also for people to connect. It definitely, you feel less alone when you're out there with a group of people. And there's some regulars, some people come sporadically, and it's all okay. And we welcome everyone. And it just is such a lovely experience every Sunday. And while the rest of the week we mostly feel a lot of anger and rage, for 1 hour on Sunday, we're able to channel that. And it feels joyful, to be honest, which is a little crazy, to all share the space and have people driving by and honking, people laying on their horns, and getting the feeling that we're not alone, and that we are going to beat this. We are going to be victorious in the end.
You know, I think one thing that came as a big surprise to us was how much we personally have enjoyed the whole experience. We went into this thinking of as an obligation. Now I really look forward to it every week. I will say, I think a question that comes up a lot about very small, very local activism is like, oh, why? Why do this? Why do it here? Especially in Montclair, people are like, oh, but you need to be going to, you know, Trump country. And we really don't think that's true. And I want, with our next slide, to kind of give a little background on kind of like why protest. And why do small action, even if the whole world isn't joining in with you? I don't know how many of you have heard of something called the 3.5% rule. This comes from research that's done by a woman named Erica Chenoweth. She's a political science professor at the Kennedy School at Harvard. And she has researched popular movements all around the world over the past, I think, 30 years or so, looking at instances where popular nonviolent uprisings have led to a regime change. And what she's found is, if 3.5% of the population of a country is involved in active, sustained, committed public protest, then it is likely that the regime will fall. So it's not just showing up at one event, and it's not doing it kind of half-heartedly, but if you can get 3.5% of the population that's really actively, aggressively, non-violently, constantly protesting, the chances are that leadership can't sustain itself. That's happened. That what you're looking at right there is the Rose Revolution in the Republic of Georgia, but it's true also of the Velvet Revolution from Czechoslovakia, of the Orange Revolution in Ukraine, of various countries in the Arab Spring movement. And in the US, 3.5% of the population would be approximately 12 million people. So, you know, that's not that much. I mean, if you combine everyone that's been to every action, including today's May Day stuff, including the hands-off protests, including all these little local things all over, you probably come to 5 or 6 million already. So the trick isn't really winning over new anti-Trump people. It's more taking the people like us and our friends who know things are not good and getting them out there to commit themselves to sustain protest in an ongoing way. So that's kind of like the vibe that we think that we're part of. And with that as the background, I mean, there's kind of all different ways to protest. Obviously, many of you that are here right now live in the neighborhood, so we hope you'll come to our Sunday protest. But we kind of want to talk about how we started up this whole weekly thing with the thought that, you know, we'd love this to be something that's spread. We will say that we've actually done a little research, and we know that there are weekly ongoing protests in Costa Mesa, California, in New Berlin, Wisconsin, in Arlington, Virginia, Mansfield, Connecticut. I have 6 more here listed. Like, this is something that's actually, what happened with Liz and I on our walks is something that has organically happened all over the country and is continuing to happen. So if you come to our protest and you like them, if you live in a community that's more than 20 minutes away, maybe start your own. Or if you want to talk to your friends or your cousins about doing it, talk to them. And with that as sort of the basics, we'll just give you the thumbnail sketch of how we handle what we do, and you can take us to the next slide.
So just to add on to what Julie was saying, one of the things that I find so important in working toward the 3.5% is that being there every single week, it normalizes the protest as a way to make your voice heard. There are so many people who have never protested in their life, have never thought about it, or have never felt that that was something they were called to do. And the more they can see us, and the more they can understand that we're going to be there and that actually this is necessary in this time, the more likely they are to step outside of their comfort zone and explore possibly becoming part of a protest for the first time. And I think, as Julie was saying, tapping into those people who are already in agreement with what we have to say, who just haven't found the way to comfortably share that with the world, and by drawing them out is such an important part of getting to that 3.5%. And so as you can see here, one voice is all it takes to start something. And when the two of us started this together, we didn't know what would happen. And honestly, part of it was super just for our own sanity. You know, we felt like this is something we need to do to be able to lay our head on the pillow at night and go to sleep knowing that we've done something. And so if you're thinking that you could make such a commitment, or if you know someone who could make a commitment, if you could spread the word about this, Carrie is recording this right now, so it will be available to send out into the world, and maybe people in other towns, other states, all across the country. If we could get enough people to start something like this, one little thing that starts as one or two people can really expand and make a difference. So one thing that we highly recommend is finding a partner. It's a big commitment every week. Julie and I have each had to miss one so far. You know, we do have other things that are on the calendar that you can't move. And also it's helpful to have someone to bounce things off of, and to stay encouraged and to feed off of one another's desire to do this and to make a difference. And it's a lot for one person to handle. So we definitely recommend, if you can find a partner to join with you, and the two of you together could be a team to launch something like this for yourselves. And might start as two, and before you know it, it'll become much, much bigger. So the first step will be, as Julie will tell you, to pick a location and a date. Next slide, sorry.
Yeah, so you know, this is obviously pretty basic. Figuring out what a good location is. I feel like our location ended up really being excellent because there's so much foot traffic and car traffic. What I think I didn't understand going into this is how much the passersby are actually part of the action. In a way, it's great that a lot of people show up, but almost just as important are the people that are driving by, honking, often also recording us on taking pictures and recording us on their cell phones. Like, people are just happy to see people who are feeling the way that I think most of us on this call are feeling. Like, wait a second, what is going on in our nation? Like, there's authoritarianism is creeping up on us and over us. It's horrifying. And like, in a lot of our day-to-day life situations, people aren't talking about it. Including even like-minded people who just don't want to discuss it all the time. It actually feels important to us for people to discuss it. And there's something about our presence with signs that kind of breaks through that, and people respond. So being in a place where you're going to have a lot of people coming by, to me, seems really important. We tried to pick something that would pick a time that seemed like it was going to be convenient and where we felt we could mostly do it. We park is hard in Montclair. We did the best we could. pretty much all protests that have been going on, you know, not only ours, but Hands Off and May Day and everything like that has been taking place in daylight. I do think that's a good idea. It kind of reduces the chances of things bursting over into bad behavior and violence. So that seemed like a good plan for us. But of course, in every location there are rules. So if you want to go to the next slide, we'll talk about the rules side.
One thing to tack on to what Julie said was we had started the protest before the daylight savings switch. And so if someone out there is thinking about starting a protest now, consider daylight savings if you have that where you live, because it will shift drastically as the winter comes. And then also if daylight savings happens, your timing, it shifts. So consider that. So knowing the rules, you need to find out what is allowed in your town. Gathering without a permit, there's certain parameters that you need to stay within to avoid needing to get a permit. So we looked it up in Montclair, and as long as we're not amplifying sound or blocking either the walkways or the streets, we are allowed to gather. And we feel strongly that we don't want to have to get a permit. To get a permit, you need to have a certificate of insurance, which obviously makes it much more difficult to have a protest, especially every week. So figuring out what you can do legally and what is allowed in your community is the first step to knowing exactly what your options are. The streets and the sidewalk blocking is it's easy to not block the streets and the sidewalk, but it is important to be cognizant of it. So for us, we send out emails, and every week we do have reminders about sort of the protocols of not blocking the streets, not and sidewalks, and to keep everyone on the same page and remind us that we do want to be following the rules to avoid having any issues and requiring a permit. And as for the rules outside of that, right now there are so many places to get this information, but the ACLU is obviously a great resource about what are your rights as a protester. At this moment, I have not heard of any real protest issues as far as I know. Even though we've gathered so many people across the country, there hasn't been violence, there hasn't been arrests, there hasn't been anything at those protests other than just peaceful protesting. But we don't know what the future holds. And so it is important to know what your rights are in case something happens, and prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. For now, there's no indication that that protesting is going to be a problem anytime soon. But as things develop, it's important to know what your rights are and be able to convey those to the people joining you. And Julie, if you don't have anything to add, then we can go to the next slide.
All right, so so here is what we find very much a key to our own organizing protest experience, which is creating a vibe for protest. I think there's a psychological thing that a protest can be like. If someone who's ever got their audio on can turn it off.
Gary, why don't you mute us all and then have
Yeah,
Liz and Julie unmute themselves?
I just muted the, you're good.
Thank you, sorry. So, we wanted to go to a fair amount of planning and trouble to make our protests pleasant and fun. Like, I think it was Emma Goldman who said, if I can't dance, I don't want to be part of your revolution. We subscribe to that philosophy of protest movement, and we decided to do it in ways that were quite organic to us. Liz likes to say, think like a host for things in terms of having a bringing a mood of pleasantness. Liz, I think I can say this, it's not a secret, is a big Swiftie, and as such makes friendship bracelets. And probably the coolest thing about our protest, and what draws more people, I would say, than anything else, is the fact that every week there's a new slogan on the friendship bracelets, and we give those out. We also buy warm empanadas and pass them out to any protester that wants them. I can say I can't imagine any gesture. I mean, we spend like $50 a week on empanadas, and the amount of goodwill that brings. I mean, most people don't want them, but they're just so happy to be offered an empanada. We also have, promised people that while we take people's information to get in touch with them, that we're not going to turn this into, we're not fundraising for anything. The fact that we're not an organization, we're just two ladies who are neighbors in Bloomfield, I think has been really good and helpful for us. People seem to actually appreciate that, like, no, we're the same as you. We're people who are extremely concerned about the Trump regime and want to do everything we can to stop it. This is what we came up with. This is what we're doing. Let's all do it together. There's not like a, it's a huge agenda, but there's not an agenda beyond that. We're not connected to any particular political candidate. We're just concerned citizens and human beings. And you can give us the next slide. I don't even know what it is.
Very well said. I would like to double down on the fact that, yes, I am a Swiftie. And you can see in this slide the giving out of the bracelets. So I show up with 2 armfuls, and people choose which colorway they like. But we very much wanted to make this, as Julie was saying, an experience that while everything else going on right now is so difficult and hard to process, we wanted this to be a time of joy and community, really focusing on being together. And so we felt that we wanted to make it easy for people to show up. As we mentioned earlier, getting to that 3.5 is about pulling people out who might not have done this before. So making it like an Eras Tour concert with friendship bracelets, and having signs already made. We make and bring more signs all the time, and other people are really appreciative of that, because they can just show up themselves and pick up a sign. They can pick out which one they're feeling that day. And as a result, other people have started to do the same, where they'll leave their signs with us for us to bring back week after week. And even a lovely person who is a graphic artist has created signs and had them printed up for people to use. And he just brings them every week. He brings, a good 20 to 30 signs every week. And it's just that sort of ease of doing it really makes such a difference. So when people walk by, they might not know about us. And if they walk by, we have actually had people just join in. They weren't expecting to protest that day, but they saw us and they said, oh yeah, this is something I care about. And oh, you do have signs? Like, sure, I have 20 minutes. I'll hang out with you guys for a while. And I think that ease of joining the group is so helpful in getting people to come the first time and then to keep coming. If you feel welcome, then you're more likely to show up. And it is something that I have a feeling Julie and I aren't the only ones who look forward to it every week. We love to get to know the people who come to the protests. We have such an interesting and diverse group of people from all over who have different reasons for being there. But the big one, it all comes down to whatever the reason that put you over the edge to decide to step out and protest, it all comes back to Trump. And so we like to make it a gathering that's something that can be enjoyed by everyone who shows up, and something that feels different. And like I said, brings joy, and you walk away from it ready to face another tough week ahead. It's just enough fuel in the tank to get you through another rough week of all sorts of executive orders and the like.
Right.
The next slide, I think.
Yeah, so on our one page of like boundaries and concerns and negativities, I mean, we felt like it was important from the start to make our protest just 1 hour, just so that people know when they show up, they're not going to get like stuck there like at an awkward cocktail party. Like, no, you come, you bring your sign, you protest, you talk to some people. At 4 o'clock, it's done and everyone goes home. We think it encourages people to keep coming back for more. We do have a lot of people that come, but that come back, but also you're not required. Once you start coming, come when you can, don't come when you can't. We try to be really just as an earlier card, just make it easy for everyone. People ask us for a lot of different things. Like, I can't remember who had a thought like, oh, you should bring like a giant inflatable something. Like, we try to remind people like, no, we're just like you. We're volunteers. We have other aspects of our lives. If you think you have a cool idea for something to do with this protest, feel free to do it. But there's kind of a limit to how much we can do. We I would say we anticipated and have had some hecklers. That's really mostly drive-by people who flip the bird at us, frankly. That's the most common way of expressing love for Donald Trump, apparently, is with vulgarities. We ourselves, and we've encouraged people to not engage with that. Getting into big screaming matches is not what we want this to be about. It does nothing. It's not helpful. And actually one of our protesters responded to every flipped bird by just putting up a peace sign. We loved that, and we've started to suggest it in the communications that we put out, that is like our official Montclair Sundays way to respond to a heckler, is with a peace sign. I can't help but draw attention to this awesome woman who comes with her baby very frequently, and she brings her own signs, and her baby has a different sign every week. Like, I nap, but I love naps, but I stay woke, is that sign. She's awesome, as so many of our yes, good. Go to the next. That's good.
Yes. So in addition to what Julie said, I do think that the requests from participants, I find it to be a really great opportunity to encourage other people. When we started this, we didn't know that this was going to turn into such a successful thing, and we didn't necessarily feel like we were perfect at it or ready, or like we had all the ducks in a row and it was going to be so great. We wanted to try. And I think that when people come up to us with ideas and requests, it's nice to throw it back in their court and say, that's a great idea. You should do that. Because there's different ways different people can step up, and encouraging that and being an example of that can only have a positive effect on the community. So from week one, we showed up with a list to be filled in with names and email addresses and phone numbers. And we still use the same clipboards, and people will write their email address down. Or we've also found, as we go around and talk to people and engage with new people, sometimes we'll just have them tell us their email address, and we'll put it in our phone to avoid any handwriting mishaps. But we never pressure anyone to give us an email. If you want to give us an email, great. If not, no problem. Because we're there the same week, same day, every week, and the same time, it's easy to find us. So you could not be on the email list and come every single week. That's certainly something people could do. But people have been pretty great about wanting to be in communication with us. And I think it does go back to part of what Julie said about how we are not an organization. We are not going to start sending you emails asking for donations. We're not going to start sending you emails about things that you don't care about, or selling your email or something crazy like that. No, we're just two people, and we only write emails for a reminder that this week's event is coming up, and maybe discuss a little bit in there about what happened that week and why we're inspired to protest again. And then we make sure to send an email on Monday to sort of follow up, and almost like a thank you to everyone who came. it's so important that that we take the time to make everyone in this community feel important. And the truth is that its success is because everyone is showing up. If you know, so it that the community is the success. It's not really Julie and I at all. And so we like to take that time to point that out to them and thank everyone for coming, and also try to inspire a little bit for the week. We often give a to-do item that week if you want to do it as an activist item, and just try to keep people focused and give them the tools to get through the week and know we will gather again, and your being here is important. If you can make it, amazing. If you can't, guess what? We're still going to be here, and we'll still be here the next week too if you can make it that week instead. So it is very low pressure in that way. And we have gotten really positive feedback about our emails, just that people appreciate being seen, being heard, and knowing that they're a part of the community, and that they're an important part of the community, that they are relied upon and that they matter. We also have found it great to connect with other groups. For example, the Montclair Dems have been amazing to us, and they saw what we were doing and wanted to amplify our protest and make it as successful as possible, because they agree that people should be out there and it's only good for the community. So we've been able to connect with other groups, and along the way have made some great connections, and also just welcomed different people in. And also, it's great for us to learn about what else is going on and get involved in other ways too. We do also, although our protest grew very organically, we do want to get the word out there to get more people to come. So we were just on the Montclair Local, there was an article about us pretty early on, and we have done interviews with handful of other places, and keeping that going is a good thing to keep the momentum going and keep building, because as we've said many times, people aren't going to be able to come every single week. So having a nice pool of people who will come when they can allows it to continue to grow. Additionally, we have our sign that says we'll be here every week. That gets the attention. And then we also use social media. Social media has been one of the more organic ways too that we've grown, because other people will post about our Sunday protests that we don't even know about. We'll stumble upon it later, or somebody will tell us, oh, I'm here because I saw somebody's post on Facebook on this other group that we didn't even know that they knew we were out there. So it's been a great way. And then when we learn about these other groups, we want to connect with them. So it's been a really great way to just bring community together, which I think is the big way we're going to get through this and to the other side.
Yeah, and these things kind of build on each other. Yes, Monica has helpfully pointed out that our protest got a shout out from Rachel Maddow on Monday, which we were extremely psyched about. And for all of the attention that we've got, that we've sort of tried to get, like the Montclair Local, I knew someone there and wrote to her and said, would you be interested in this story? And they did that early on, which helped bring people. The Rachel Maddow thing, we don't even know how it happened, and we don't know what footage. I'm assuming because of the media heavy community that we live in, that probably a Maddow producer lives around here and just got a lot of little footage of us when they saw it. The really good thing about having a very visible, very regular action is that people in the community do become aware of it. It was a few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with my rabbi in which he mentioned that he's like, I've heard that you're behind, you're involved in those protests. Like this community, like people are noticing things and see things, and it really helps to get the word out, to have something that goes on in a sustained, ongoing way. It also kind of took the pressure off of us to make the first week some big thing. I think that's kind of hard when people are trying to plan a big, if they're coming from scratch trying to build a protest, like how are we going to get lots of people to come there? The answer is you probably won't on a one-shot thing. If you do something regular that people kind of know where and when to show up, hopefully you allow it to build, and that certainly did happen with us. Next slide. I don't even remember what it is. Oh, yes. So yeah, so this is, I mean, this one speaks for itself. I think the whole idea of protecting our peace and doing, you know, obviously we have lives outside of protesting. It just fits in with our whole, we have this whole like, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good vibe, not just for our participants, but for ourselves. Like, we do the best we can. If something doesn't work out, fine. If our emails aren't perfect or don't go out to absolutely everyone, okay. Like, everything we do is a step in the right direction. We're just finding our footing with this. It's felt like it's meaningful to us and the participants, and we're going to keep doing it and try to think of how to sort of shift people that are coming once to a protest to come more regularly, people that are coming regularly to protest, maybe to get a little bit more involved in other positive actions in the fight against Donald Trump, and just reminding ourselves of how meaningful this kind of thing can be. Somebody, Tanya is giving the good quote from Margaret Mead: "Never doubt a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." That is incredibly true. And I actually want to read one more quote that I got off of a social media site this morning, of a woman who was a commuter driving under one of the visibility brigades this morning. I don't know if you know what those are. The people in Paramus that go on an overpass just put out a big message so that all of the people driving in towards the city are seeing this huge message and get quite a reaction. This was what she wrote. She had, driving to work this morning, deeply depressed over the latest National Park employee interrogations and loyalty polygraph test. I drove under my first visibility brigade bridge on Route 78 and my whole world brightened. If anyone who was there sees this, I love you. You know, a child actually brought a message to a poster to our event like 3 weeks ago that said, that just said, like, it's painted in kid painting. Her name was Liberty, and it said, "My voice matters." And she left it behind, as our protesters often leave their signs to be recycled. And now, like, each week, someone else has carried the sign, you know, from a little kid to an elderly woman, all holding this painted sign saying, "My voice matters." And I think, you know, I think that's what we're all about. Each of our voices matter, and joined together, our voices matter all the more.
100%. And I think that with the current state of affairs, we could all make just reading the news or activism, or, you know, any way we want to participate and fight in this, we could make that a full-time job. Anyone could. And so it's so important to have the moments where you step back from it all and just enjoy being human. And, you know, especially on a day like today, it was so gorgeous to get outside, to feel the sunshine. And these things, these little bits of time for ourselves, for everyone, it's so important to be able to have the stamina to keep going. Because when Julie and I made this commitment, we said we would do this until we didn't need to anymore. And we are very well aware that that could be a long time. And so we're in this for the long haul. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And so we're just making our way through, doing the best we can. I think that there's been so many amazing things that have come out of this for us personally, and also to see in the community.
I think we'll put our email addresses in the chat also, so in case anyone wants to, or maybe the email address for Montclair Sundays, in case anyone wants to be added to the Montclair Sundays Gmail list that isn't on it yet.
One final thing I would like to say is just that I read a quote about how action is the antidote to despair. And I feel like that has never felt more true than right now.